Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Freaky. We're going to go over the pros and cons, so let's get to it. Pros: Freaky couldn't have picked a better release date. Now, I know what some of you might be saying. Malik, October was last month. It should have came out then. It is a horror movie. I know. I know. But the thing is, Freaky is still coming out on a very spooky day, and that day is Friday the 13th. Okay? Friday the 13th is synonymous with horror and spookiness. I mean, there's a whole franchise, Friday the 13th. It's a whole franchise based off that date. So it makes all the sense in the world for Freaky to come out on that date because for the most part, horror movies do very well. Some don't. And I'll get to that when we get to the cons. But for the most part, it's a good day to release a horror movie. So that's definitely a pro. Second pro is that this movie has no real competition. Come Play came out like 2 weeks ago, so a lot of people are forgotten about that. And this one's a lot more fresh than that. It has no real competition in sight for the remainder of the year, I think. I mean, what does this have to deal with? The Croods 2? I highly doubt the audience for The Croods 2 and Freaky are going to cannibalize each other. I doubt that, although that would be hilarious if that were to happen. And then after that, December is just a wasteland, an absolute wasteland. So, yeah, Freaky has really nothing to worry about when it comes to competition. So that's definitely a pro. Third pro is that, well, Universal, this is the first major studio movie to come out in a long while. I think since Tenet, last I checked. So you got to give credit to Universal here. At least they want to be somewhat helpful to movie theaters who are struggling quite badly during these times. They're like, here you go. Here's a movie that has some commercial potential. We're not just going to give you some trash indie movie or something. So, yeah, I'll give them credit for that. So, yeah, that's a pro. Another pro is that the premise for this movie is simple enough where it could draw a decent audience because the premise of this movie, it's basically Freaky Friday but with a horror twist. What that means is that you have a teenage girl and a serial killer switch bodies. So now, teenage girl is in the body of a serial killer, and the serial killer is in the body of a teenage girl, and it leads to all types of antics. So yeah, that's a premise that a lot of people can get into. And the funny thing is that person who made Freaky also made a horror movie that I really like called Happy Death Day, where it's basically you take that movie was just Groundhog Day mixed with a horror theme with a tiny bit of Scream in it, and that did very well. It was very successful. So yeah, yeah, definitely a con. Not a con, a pro. What am I saying? It's late. Yeah, it's definitely a pro. The premise is appealing enough. I guess another pro I can think of is, well, I already said the person who made this did Happy Death Day, and that was a hit. So there's that. Blumhouse has a decent track record overall. They've made a lot of hits. You know, some of them off the top of my head are Paranormal Activity. Is Insidious Blumhouse? I think it is. Yeah, maybe I don't remember. But yeah, Paranormal Activity, Get Out, Split. Those are like the big ones I can think of. But yeah, Blumhouse has a good reputation for the most part. Okay, they're not perfect. All reviews are really good. They'll probably have solid word of mouth. So yeah, cons. Well, pandemic. I don't even need to say it at this point. Pandemic, especially now, like cases are just rising like just spiking in the worst way possible. So that could definitely turn people off from going to the theater. So there's definitely that. Uh, well, again, I already said Blumhouse doesn't have the perfect track record because I'm trying to remember. It was last year. Last year. That Black Christmas remake. Anyone remember that? No, exactly, because nobody watched it. It did terrible, despite opening on Friday the 13th. Granted, the movie was bad. It was a terrible movie. I haven't seen it. I don't want to see it. I've heard enough about it that I'm like, nope, bye. Uh, yeah, Black Christmas was an absolute disaster last year. Granted, I don't think the same fate's gonna happen to Freaky, but still, a horror movie can flop on Friday the 13th. It's not an anomaly. So there's that. I guess another con is that Vince Vaughn, who's in this movie, he's the serial killer. Here's the thing about Vince Vaughn. See, back in I would say the 2000s, back in the 2000s, his track record was really good. He was a decent enough draw, and really started with Old School. Then after that, he was very successful. There was Dodgeball, that's a favorite of mine. Wedding Crashers, The Breakup, For Christmases, Couples Retreat. He was doing good, and then the 2010s happened, and everything went backwards. The Dilemma bombed, The Watch bombed, Internship, Delivery Man, Unfinished Business, all flops, all undisputed flops. So yeah, his track record is not great. I think his drawing power has been greatly diminished. But with a movie like this, the cast really doesn't matter. What matters is the premise. If the premise is strong enough, then people will watch it. And the premise is solid. So yeah, I really wouldn't consider it much of a con, but it is something to note. Trying to think of anything else. I really can't think of anything else. Yeah, that's it. Uh, so overall, opening weekend. If we were in the pre-pandemic days, I would have said this would have opened between 15 to 20 million, the high teens, which would have been very good. But because we are in the pandemic, that's a pipe dream. So I think the highest I'm going to go is 6 million, which although sounds really low, it's still one of the better debuts since movie theaters reopened. I think the biggest still is Tenet, which only had a 9.4, so that just shows you how bad things have been. And then after that was New Mutants with 7. I think this will be a good number 3. I'd be a bit surprised if it surpassed New Mutants, and I'd be satisfied because New Mutants is trash. Okay. So yeah, but I'm still gonna say 6 million opening weekend, and maybe 15 or so million total. Yeah, and that's it for Freaky. After Freaky, there's gonna be nothing next Friday, so I have a free weekend there. I won't be making another box office prediction video until the 25th, or at least a day before that, when I do The Croods: A New Age, a sequel that everyone wanted. The world demanded it existed. Yeah, and then after that, there's All My Life, and these. Don't expect a Wonder Woman prediction video. Just don't expect it. But in the news of the world, promising young woman, Monster Hunter. I'll probably do videos on those. But yeah, like December is just dead. It is horrid. And I don't think January is going to be any better. Because Mortal Kombat, that's not coming out. I know it's not. So you can scratch that off. I don't think Peter Rabbit 2 is going to come out either. But yeah, I think January is going to be dead. February might be dead too. Then March, things might start happening again. But yeah, you're not going to be seeing too many box office prediction videos for the rest of the year and for the beginning of next year. So I'm just warning you now. So yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage full of all the movies that made it to theaters in 2020. I've made prediction videos on all those. I know it's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. Okay. And besides, it has my movie of the year, Sonic the Hedgehog, still my movie of the year, and it's gonna stay that way. Like even if magically COVID went away tomorrow and everything went back to normal, I would still wouldn't watch anything. I would want the Sonic movie to be my number one movie of the year, mainly because well, one, it's Sonic, and two, it would make me laugh. So yeah. Uh, I also have other playlists. I have recaps where I go over the box office for the whole month, but because these months have been so dismal, I'm going to do a double recap of October and November together, but that won't come out until early December, so stay tuned for that. I also do the canceled series where I just go over all the delays that have happened, pretty much all the movies that were supposed to come out around this time. Yeah, I've covered all of them. So, yeah. That's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.